Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Fish Productions Review, where we review anything that catches our fancy or interest. Today's review is Twilight over Remnant by Hakuorofan7. Is the summary. After the worst day of his life, Roxas leaves to start anew, only to literally crash upon and arrive on to Remnant. Now, Roxas must deal with his new life at Beacon, foes anew coming after him, a capitalized love life, and other issues. At least he can count on his teammates. His friend Xion by his side, mainly based on JPDE. Now, this series of stories by Hakuorofan7 is part of his, I like to say, his Twilight series, because he has multiple different series going with Roxas as the main character, though he has two other series with Izuku and OC as a main character, which are a lot better stories in my mind of his. But this story, like all his others, start at different points for Roxas. Each one of his stories have different starting points. Some have OP Roxas at the end of his events by the 300-day storyline, with some memories from Sora that he gains. Others, he has all of the memories from the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and some memories maybe from Kingdom Hearts 3 thrown in, depending on which version is the one he's using. But overall, these these Twilight stories are actually very interesting and interesting concepts and junk like that. Overall, this one is mainly about Roxas going to Remnant uh, after trying a suicidal event against the organization, and he comes to Remnant and finds out Xion is in his Xion's heart or being is fused with him, pretty much like Karai was for Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1. There hasn't been that many chapters of this story, Twilight over Remnant, because he's focusing on his other stories at the moment. But overall, from what he's written so far, it's very interesting, and I imagine it will be a very good story as it goes on. Even though I don't really know one of the characters he introduced because I quit following Ruby long ago. Around volume 4 or 5, I quit following the series in its entirety because I just gave up on Rooster Teeth. Their writing has gone downhill drastically since uh, what's his name died. I can't remember his name right at the top of my head right now at recording this video. But we're not talking about Rooster Teeth. We're talking about Hakuorofan7. He is an amazing writer, though you can tell at some of these earlier stories of his that he accidentally had some minor grammar mistakes, but you don't get. You should know me if you actually watched any of my videos. I don't count grammar whatsoever in these reviews. This story will be getting an 8 out of 10. It won't get any higher because there's so few chapters that I honestly can't review the story. It's only been 4 chapters. Um, but it won't get any lower because honestly, there's not much wrong with it except, I will say, Uh, some events need to be drawn out a tiny bit more, but that's about it. Besides that, it's a very good attempt at a Remnant Roxas story. There's two or three other stories that I read that were similar to this that I dropped almost immediately because I just couldn't stand them, as they just made zero sense at the time. They either made Roxas far too weak that he could even kill a single bear wolf, Heartless, Grim, and when the Heartless came into the story, the hunters couldn't even hurt the Heartless, but it's like switching between them. He could only hurt the Heartless while he couldn't harm Grim, period, and vice versa. And that story I dropped immediately because it was an absolutely stupid premise. The second one was a little bit better, but the author just dropped it. He quit it, and he only had like 3 chapters and dropped it. It was an amazing story, and I forgot what the name of the author was. I think he dropped fan fiction, period, about 5 or 6 years ago. But that's enough of that. But overall, I would highly recommend any of this guy's stories to read because they're very good quality. You will easily spot a few grammar mistakes. The grammar mistakes is him essentially putting a Q or a different letter where like a or something along those lines is supposed to be. That's the only grammar mistakes you will really see from this writer that I've noticed in all his works. Um, that's honestly about it. And I can't really tell you much about this story because it's only been 4 chapters. His other stories have been running a bit longer, and I probably could talk all day about them. So, thank you for coming to Dopefish Productions Reviewer. Have a nice day.